You do not need to be amazing at Tarkov to be rich in Tarkov. I am the perfect example of this. I don't think I've ever ended a wipe with over a 50% survival rate, but I've also never ended a wipe with less than 50 million roubles laying around. And today I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm going to show you what gear to run, what maps to prioritize, and a playstyle that is not only fun, but it's going to help you make a ton of money. So let's make it happen. So the science of making money in Tarkov is super simple. You have to make more money in your raids than you spend on your gear. And that's what a lot of guides focus on, how to make the most money per raid. And we will show you that a little bit later on, but that's ignoring the other half of the story, your survival rate. You know, if you have a 30% survival rate, well, those 7 raids you die, not only are you not making money, but you're also losing the cost of your gear, which puts you in a pretty deep hole. And so we're going to focus on every part of making money. Not only how to make the most money per raid, but also how to lose less on the raids you're dying. We're going to do that through 2 ways. 1, by picking the perfect gear to do money runs with, and 2, a playstyle that is going to make you money even on the raids you die. Gear selection is one of the most important things to take into consideration when you're doing these money runs. And it's a bit of a Goldilocks situation where you don't want to run too much gear, but you also don't want to run too little gear. And here's the reason why. If you're running too much gear, think slick, Alton, meta weapon, it's costing you about 1,000,000 roubles to put that kit together, which means in your raids, you have to make 1,000,000 roubles worth of loot before you start to make any profit. Which means you have to survive multiple raids in a row, getting a lot of high tier loot, and that is tough to sustain over the course of a long period of time. Now, the other side of that, of course, is if you're running too little gear, maybe just a pistol or a hatchet, and the problem with that is you're not putting yourself in a position to win fights, survive raids, and have those million-plus ruble raids that are really going to generate a fat amount of profit. So what you want to do is run that mid-tier gear. And as you can see from my PMC on screen, this is what peak money running looks like. And the reason that this kit is the best, in my opinion, for money runs is threefold. First is that all in, this kit cost 136,000 rubles, and that is very cheap. And it's very easy, even through just items in your gamma case, to make enough money to cover the cost of this kit. Once you've covered the cost, well, now we're starting to make profit. The second is that the reason I picked like the potato rig versus other tier 4 rigs is you're gonna get all of these items back in insurance like 95% of the time. And during those insurance days where your cost of running gear is essentially 0, those are pure profit days and days where you can really start to build up a nice bankroll for yourself. And the third piece is what I think is the most important, is that even though this is cheap, you're still running a tier 4 armor as well as your favorite budget weapon. I'd recommend something that doesn't have a lot of attachments to keep costs down. And of course, we have a guide if you want to look at it. But you are putting yourself in a position, obviously, to take out scavs, but it's also giving you a chance against other PMCs to win fights in high-tier loot areas and end up surviving some more of those raids and getting that 1,000,000+ ruble raid that's really going to add some profit to you. So the playstyle, once you're actually in a raid, is incredibly simple. It's not requiring you to wipe the lobby like a Chad or nibble around the edges of the map taking stashes. It is a Shift W mindset. And essentially what you're doing from the beginning of the raid is you are sprinting to the predetermined high tier loot areas on the map. This is going to require some map knowledge, which we'll talk about in a bit, but hitting these areas that have high trader value items and getting them into your gamma as quickly as possible. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Obviously, that's what we want to do. But the goal, like I said, is you have to get there first by sprinting from the beginning of the raid. And what this does, as soon as you've gammed 1 or 2 of those high tier items, well, now you've covered the cost of your kit. And even if you die, you haven't lost any money. Beautiful. And we pretty much broke even already. And that puts you in an incredible position. From that point on, every piece of gear that you're getting is just pure profit for you. Ooh, a teddy. Yep, we're now in the profit zone with just those 2 items. And because we have a kit on that is going to allow you to potentially win some fights, your chances of surviving that raid and getting 1,000,000+ rubles in items from high tier as well as filling the rest of your bag significantly goes up. And again, by sprinting, the Shift W mindset from the beginning of the raid, what it does is it gives you a good amount of loot immediately in your gamma case to minimize how much money you lose on the raids that you die, and to maximize the amount of money you make on the raids that you survive by getting to these high tier areas first. And what's perfect about this is you don't have to be great at Tarkov to do it. In fact, you don't even have to get better at Tarkov. Because we are addressing both the death and the survival, you just need to be as good as you are, and you too can make a ton of money. Now, in addition to the gear and the gameplay style, map selection is incredibly important when running for loot. Because we're Shift Wing into high loot tier areas, there are 3 maps that you're going to want to target. Lighthouse is far and away number 1, Interchange number 2, and Shoreline number 3. So for Lighthouse, anyone who doesn't know, this map is full of an incredible amount of loot. And like I said, we're Shift Wing to these high tier loot areas to get in quick, get out quicker. And Lighthouse is chock full of these. No matter where you spawn on the map, there is a place to go for you to make loot. Now, if you spawn over by the rogues, well, we have a rogue farming video to easily make a ton of loot, in addition to several valuable gold tier loot spawns in the area. Now, let's say you don't spawn there, you spawn near villages. In those cottages, there are endless amount of gold tier loot spawns. You can stay in the area, loot, and then move right towards extract, and you're going to be fine. And again, if you spawn near chalet, congratulations, you've hit the gold mine. There is a ton of loot in here, and we do have a loot guide actually if you want for Lighthouse. But really, anywhere you go here, you're going to get incredibly gamma-able items, in addition to a large quantity of loot for those raids that you do end up surviving. Now, the second best one to go to, in my opinion, is Interchange. And for here, we're going to target the 6 tech stores, in addition to the lockers in Goshen. And it's not reinventing the wheel, but even with the nerfs that we've seen to Interchange, this is a map where no matter where you spawn, you're going to have access to high tier loot. And by prioritizing these loot stores, you're going to be able to realistically get to at least one of them every single raid, make enough money to cover the cost of your gear, and if you survive and you hit a couple extra ones, you're going to be sitting on pure profit. Now, I put Resort as number 3 because on Shoreline, well, you can hit stashes, you can hit villages, cottages, whatever you want. The high tier loot is at the resort. And we have a resort guide if you want to see all of the great tier items there. But again, it is an area where you Shift W to, and you're able to get some super high tier loot put in your gamma case. And it's very dangerous, but even if you die, you're still going to be fine, like I've said. But you are going to be in a position to make a ton of money if you do survive. And so these are the 3 maps that you're going to want to go to, and just know where you want to loot. Prioritize getting to those high tier spots first. And again, over the long term, no matter what your survival rate is, you're going to make a ton of money. And with that, hopefully everyone has what they need to make a ton of money in Tarkov. Let me know how much money you guys make, and I'll see you next time.